For the longest time, whenever I heard the words Indian made games, I'd almost immediately check out mentally. Because every single one of those games will try to speak to your emotional side and try to piggyback off the fact that this game is made in India and you should support your developers. But the only thing they will have to show for it is something so janky and half-baked that you could not even call it a proper game. And if not that, then it will be a copy of some other popular game that they will call inspired. But I am happy to say that the gaming scene in India is changing in the Big 26. In the last few months, I have had so many indie games recommended to me. And some of them I even liked. For example, this is a game called Fishbowl, a coming of age story about a video editor going through life. And you cannot look at this and go, this looks half-baked or boring. There is also this game called Appa, a deck builder with a unique premise. Even though I know you won't care about a story in a deck builder game, it is still good to know that it's there. And I think if we want this industry to keep evolving in India, it is important for us to understand what makes these games work and stand out. It's knowing your budget and capabilities and proper management. And if you ask me, it is the most important thing because game development takes time, years even, and a lot can happen during that time. Maybe the budget started becoming an issue, or maybe the initial idea has evolved into something so big that the initial team cannot keep up with the task. During this time, a good management can really help the company stay alive. But sadly, it's not all good news. There are still a few games coming out that look half-baked or maybe not in the state to be displayed publicly. Like look at this one. It's called Mumbai Gullies. And I'm sure तुमने इसके बारे में कहीं ना कहीं तो सुना ही होगा. ये बहुत न्यूज़ में आया था. The more I researched about it, the shadier it got. There were a lot of allegations flying around about where the money from the investors went, but I'm not gonna comment on that. Instead, I'd like to talk more about its development. In this video by Nick Hill, who is the main guy behind this game by the way, addressed a lot of stuff he did wrong in the making of this game. One of them being overly ambitious, which is an understatement in my opinion. He wanted to basically make an Indian GTA in a country where people struggle to get funding for indie titles. Of course, there were gonna be issues, but mid development, he decided to change game engines, focusing more on fidelity instead of game mechanics. All this led to him pausing the development of his game.
To bring costs down, we explored outsourcing development to multiple partners and made the painful call to switch from Unreal Engine to Unity. Cheaper to develop on, wider talent pool, and our partners had deep Unity expertise. On paper, it made perfect sense. But in practice, it nearly killed the product.
But I'd rather not end this video on a negative, so let's talk about Unleash the Avatar. It's obviously not a perfect game and it suffers from the inspired thing I mentioned before. But unlike most other inspired games, this is polished to the point I can get behind it. Like, don't get me wrong, being inspired from something is not a bad thing. That's how we got the whole genre of Souls-like games. It's the not putting the effort behind that game to make it polished that bothers me. And yes, there are still a few things in this game that I noticed that bothers me and needs improving. But I can't help but feel hopeful that Unleash the Avatar will open the gateway for this industry to boom in India. If successful. Also, one last thing before I go, there were a lot of games released in India from a lot of different genres. So please do check them out. Maybe something comes along that might surprise you.